moving on to Chelsea. Obviously, I'm going to go to Dan first on this. Delap, the here we go is in. You've got him. Now very strong reports about going for Branthwaite, going for Rodrigo, hijacking Arsenal for Gyökeres, links to Ekitike. I mean, it feels as though it's been very quiet on the Chelsea front for transfers the last couple of weeks, where a lot of other clubs were quite noisy and busy. But you got the Champions League football. You won the trophy last night. But it does feel like Clearlake are going to put their money where their mouth is again and really try and put you in the best position possible next year to try and win the league and try and win the Champions League.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that was riding on Chelsea getting top four and qualifying for the Champions League. As you said about Manchester United and the potential sliding doors moment, I think Chelsea were kind of facing something like that as well. And I think Champions League qualification was huge for them. And I think that's probably why they've been able to get Liam Delap over the line. I'm not completely like excited by Liam Delap coming to Chelsea. I don't think he's exactly what we should have been after, but I do think he's the inevitable signing that clearly we're always going to make if they had the opportunity to sign him because of his profile, his age. I think there's an exciting prospect in there, but I just feel like a striker that's capable of putting 20 goals a season away is what Chelsea should be looking at going into potentially fighting for top four again next season. More than that, Champions League football against the biggest and best teams in Europe. I just feel like Liam Delap doesn't sort of lift the bar or raise the bar enough, in my honest opinion. But the other signings, they're I think inevitable that they happen because I think Chelsea's owners have got an addiction to spending money in the hope that a few of them pay off to generate a huge amount of profit. But until I see a real shift in experience and the methods around our approach to recruitment, I still feel Chelsea will be lacking and will be further away from the title than they think they are, or the Champions League final sort of rounds. I'm not sure I see Chelsea getting there. If they sort of stick to this model, I think it will be more that in 3 or 4 years' time when those players develop, they might then be good enough to then contest.
Sweeney Todd's back, ain't he?
I look at Chelsea and I think, look, they got the job done in the Conference League, got Champions League. That should be the catalyst to move on to phase 2 of the project, which is right. We shop for similar types of players, but with more pedigree. It just seems like you're taking more expensive risks rather than move. I mean,
30 million, category. Not bad.
I mean with the other ones, that the likes of the Ekitike. I don't want us to go near Ekitike.
I don't think we'll get
going near him for the price that they're asking.
Just don't think that'll happen unless Jackson moves on. I just don't see Ekitike being a player that comes in.
Do you think Cole Palmer had any input on that Delap signing?
No, apparently
because he was earmarked for Man United.
Wesley Fofana just put on Instagram it was Lavia who has basically agented the deal. That's what he's put. He's put a job, on Instagram. So I think Lavia and Delap played longer together at Manchester City's academy. So I think that might have been the reason. But
I forgot about Lavia.
I think Chelsea getting Champions League football was instrumental in that because I think if Manchester United had got it, I just feel like Delap probably would have stayed or probably would have, gone to Manchester United. But look, I think he's a good player. But I just feel like if you're in the top 4 of the Premier League, is a 12-goal a season player at Ipswich the player you should be putting all your eggs into one basket on as a striker, or you keep him and Nicholas Jackson competing between the two? It just still doesn't feel like enough for me in terms of firepower.
But most of your reports have said that you're going for 2. So there are really strong rumours that coming out of Portugal today, from the Portuguese, I think it's called the Recorder or whatever the newspaper's called, that you're going in for Gyökeres. I mean, we've mentioned Ekitike already. It does appear that you're not going to be buying just one striker. You are going to go for 2.
I only believe they'll sign another one if players depart. If Mark Gee goes out on loan, if Nicholas Jackson leaves, or if Nkunku leaves, because at this moment in time, there are 4 strikers at the club, and I just don't see Chelsea signing a 5th one. 3. Sorry, if Delap comes in, it's 4. I just don't think they'll sign another one until one of those players has departed.
I also think for the pedigree of striker that you've got, it's hard to keep 3 happy because
there's no outstanding striker out of all of them.
They're all going to think they can be number 1. There's no clear hierarchy.
Competition.
So if you brought in Ekitike, I'm just going to use Ekitike because you've been linked with them. If you brought in Ekitike alongside Jackson and Delap, there's no clear number 1, and with being in the Champions League, you lose that guaranteed game time for the third choice to appease them and go, well, look, you're not going to play much in the league, but you know what? Every Thursday, you're going to be getting 90 minutes because I'm not going to be playing him. If you're in the Champions League, that option goes. So it's very hard to keep 3 strikers appeased with their game time and appeased with their situation if you've got to be playing your number 1 choice week in, week out. That's why I do wonder about this insistence on getting this second striker this window. I just don't see how you're going to keep all of them on board. The only way I could see it working is if you brought one of these, like, you know, hybrid attackers who's like a winger who can be a number 9 if needs be, because you do still need a guy to play off the left. I know that you're in negotiations now with Sancho and all that, but I just wonder how you'd keep Ekitike, Jackson, and Delap all happy whilst having to try and compete in the Champions League, where the manager's not necessarily going to be wanting to play his third choice striker.
I agree as well. You know why? Because Delap he was literally given an unbelievable contract by Everton. Like you are going to be our main man. Like Delap's going to Chelsea to play. He's going there to be the first choice. I'm telling you, like he definitely had a lot of offers on the table from many Premier League clubs to be the main man. He's not going to go to Chelsea as a bit part player, because he could have had first choice at a number of clubs. He definitely would have been your first choice at Man United. Like, you would have had to sell that to him.
He's definitely a better striker than Jackson. So
I don't think you get an Ekitike. Tom, I think we
now.
probably will get Ekitike. You know, I know you don't want him, but I know. I'm surprised Chelsea hasn't gone for Sesko. You know, that's a really weird one.
Yeah, Sesko for me was someone that sort of fitted.
Yeah, just everything sits for the age and the profile for Chelsea. That one.
Maybe it's because my club's in the mud, so everything looks better to me. I don't understand why Liverpool fans and Chelsea fans, I've even seen Arsenal fans, are like, oh, Ekitike, I don't know, and Sesko, I'm not sure, and is Gyökeres really as good as the numbers state? Honestly, I'm watching you guys and I'm thinking, your first world problems make me fucking sick, you mugs. I'm going to pull you all out.
No, I won't go crazy.
It's like, they ain't much better out there. I'm not going to be blunt. Who's better than the guys who will be genuinely? Who are the better strikers out there in the world that are attainable that you're all being linked to?
Matteo Retegui is the one that I want.
Who?
Retegui from Atalanta.
Okay. Is he linked? Is he linked to be leaving?
He's got a €50 million release clause, apparently.
And why is he better than Ekitike, Gyökeres, Sesko, these guys? Why is he better?
He's better than Ekitike and Sesko because he's actually a clinical finisher. He's more refined in his game, and he's cheaper than them. So I look at Ekitike. There's quotes of 80 million quid for Ekitike. Leipzig won 100 million euros for Sesko. These are guys who have I think Ekitike's underperformed XG by 7.8 this year. For my team, for Liverpool, I can't speak for anyone else, but for Liverpool, I have 2 years. I have a 2-year window now where I need to maximize what I can do for Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. I have just done 3 years of sitting there with a striker going, when he eventually puts the ball in the net consistently, it'll be dead good. Eventually he'll do it. Eventually he'll do it. Eventually he'll do it. It doesn't matter that he keeps missing now. Eventually he'll do it. It's a good thing he's getting in the right position, and it never clicks because the pressure's too much. I don't want to do that again right now. If I'm in a situation in a couple of years' time when I need to, I'll go for it. But right now, whilst I'm in a win now mode, I cannot justify spending top striker money on a guy who I can't trust to get 20 goals. Retegui's just finished the season as Serie A top scorer with 25 goals for an Atalanta side that finished third. He missed some games to injury and fitness, so I think he started 32 and got 25, which is really good numbers. His link-up was very good. He performed well in the Champions League. He's half the price of these guys, and he's at an age at 26 where I think that he is pretty much ready to adapt to he's about to enter his prime, and he's at a good time to adapt to whatever league that he comes into in terms of his physicality and in terms of where at the point of the career that he's at. Whereas let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question though. Is there not again? I don't know much about him, so I'm asking questions to learn, not to try and catch you out. I just want you to be very aware of that. This is the first season where he's actually scored like a high number of goals in a top European. He's only been in Europe 2 years. Yeah. Last year was pretty good, 9 goals in all comps. This year, 28 in all comps. Mm-hmm. Could it be that he is having a bit of wouldn't it be more sensible? I know he's 25, 26 years of age. Wouldn't it be more sensible to watch what he does for another year before putting that money into a player that's only had one good season in Europe? Potentially, but I also look at what he achieved outside Europe. He was the top scorer in the Argentine league right before he got his move to Genoa. And that the Argentine league, it's actually a pretty decent league. It's not, European top 5 league level, but it's one of the better leagues outside of those leagues. He was doing it for, I think it was Tigre, who weren't necessarily expected to be high up there, and he put together, I think, 24 goals. So he's someone who I put him in the same ilk, because I don't put Gyökeres in the same category as Ekitike or Sesko. The Retegui and Gyökeres for me are the next category below your Isaks and your Alvarez's, etc. These top guys who've done it in European leagues. Retegui has a little bit more than Gyökeres because he's done it in a top 5 league. Whereas Gyökeres has got really good numbers in the Portuguese league, and I think the Portuguese league, because of a certain Uruguayan who joined Liverpool, has took a big hit in terms of reputation for big money strikers coming in and adapting to their leagues. Those two, I don't want to put them two in the same category as Sesko and Ekitike, who haven't even hit elite numbers yet. They're young, and they are the kind of right buy for a team like a Chelsea, who see themselves being 2 years away from being ready, because you can use that 2-year period to develop these guys. But for a team like Liverpool or a team like Arsenal, they're not the guy you need to go for.
I get what you say that. I mean, but Ekitike this season has 22 goals. The guy you're talking about, like best thing since sliced bread, only scored 6 more goals than him. And you're talking
12 assists as well, Ekitike. People aren't.
It's like you're not talking one got 18, one got 8 goals, and one got 28, 20, and 30. There's not a massive difference between the two. And one's, I'm not saying I don't know much about the guy you're mentioning. Ekitike's got good numbers and good output for a young player. And imagine him I don't know. He ain't that young.
He's double the price though, Terry.
He turns 20. He turns 24. Yeah, the price. Get that. He turns 24 next season. Like, he's not a baby. There's a super chat here for Dan. Actually, it says, "Bro, this Chelsea fan is clueless. We aren't 4 years from challenging. If we had Delap this season, he's definitely scoring more than Jackson."
Yeah, maybe he will score more than Jackson, but I'll be honest. Jackson has scored more goals than him in the Prem this season. Ipswich obviously definitely had less big chances created. I think Chelsea got more than double what Ipswich created. So there's a potential there that he does score enough goals, but I don't think on his season and on the ability that I've seen that Delap is enough on his own to take Chelsea to a Premier League title. I just don't think he is. And I think the squad are probably a minimum of 2 or 3 years away from really being able to contest a Premier League title. I just think they are. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. John Terry come out publicly and said it this week as well, that he still thinks this Chelsea team are a little bit further away than what maybe some people are suggesting. And I think a little bit more investment is needed from Chelsea to make sure this team's good enough. We haven't even discussed the goalkeeper. We haven't even discussed that defensively we've got issues. We've still got issues in terms of wide players and their output as well. So there's still jobs to be done in terms of recruitment at Chelsea. But I do think Liam Delap will be a better striker than Nicholas Jackson. I can't deny that.
Do you not sometimes think Chelsea buy players so that other teams can't buy them? Because I see Delap and I think Chelsea are going to ruin him. He's a young guy.
I think he's perfect for Chelsea.
I know he's not a
I do think he's perfect for Chelsea, Kate. He's the type of striker that's actually thrived at Chelsea. He's the type of player that's a bit of an old school, brutish approach, will niggle at the opposition's teams, will wind them up. There's a similarity between him and a Diego Costa and players like that. I think of, I even thought of like, this is an old one, and I don't know if people remember this, but even like an Alan Shearer back in the day. I feel like I see a bit of Delap having a little bit of a younger Alan Shearer in him as well. I think maybe Chelsea have done that in the past with players like Mudryk, but I think if you look at Liam Delap, he's the absolute ideal signing that Chelsea would sign as a young striker that fits the model. I think Joe Shields obviously has worked with him at Manchester City. A lot of the players that Joe Shields has brought in are mates with Liam Delap. I don't think this is one to stop Manchester United getting him. I just think that Manchester United took themselves out of the race, to be honest with you.
But if you get another striker, I just see Delap just taking a back seat at Chelsea and another young.
No, he'll be the number one. He'll be the number 9. There's no doubt about it. Jackson's performance last night is enough to suggest that the fact that this news has broke off the back of Jackson's performance last night, I think that tells you everything you need to know, to be honest with you.
And you might have literally just signed him because Jackson's out for the Club World Cup.
I think that Delap, the writing was on the wall from the moment he sort of started showing he was able to do it at the Premier League level. I think the writing was on the wall, because if you look at the players that Chelsea have recruited from Manchester City's academy. As soon as they've sort of suggested they could do it at a level, they've been brought into Chelsea. We've got a number of players now that have been in that Manchester City academy playing for Chelsea's first team.
Dan,
Yeah,
you need to be sorry, Terry. Dan, you
go
need
on.
to be careful likening Delap to Shearer, because Shearer also chose Newcastle over United and never won anything again. So you don't want them links happening again. You know what I mean?
I hear what you're saying, by the way. I just think the play style, it's I just look at Delap as a number 9 that there aren't many number 9s in the Premier League that have similarities to Delap anymore. I think Delap is a striker that comes from a dying breed.
I think he's going to score. I think he's going to do very well at Chelsea. Yes, I've seen comps. Some Chelsea fans putting comps together of his misses today and stuff, and I just find that to be such a reductive. You could literally go and put a foul compilation together for the greatest players in the world, put some clown music behind it, and go, look, they were bad footballers. It's just normal. Cristiano Ronaldo is the greatest goal scorer that's ever lived. This is a fact. No one scored more goals than him. I've seen him personally at Old Trafford miss 2 or 3 goals from half a yard out on the line with no goalkeeper. These things happen. So